There it is! Soon-to-be tropical storm Erin is set to explode as it surges westward across the Atlantic toward the United States. But just how strong will it get and where will it go? Well, I've spent all morning poring over the latest data, eliminating the irrelevant and the absurd in order to bring you the most pertinent information, along with over 4 decades of tracking weather systems to help us answer those two critical questions. So we're going to begin today way out here in the Eastern Atlantic by taking a look at tropical wave 97L in today's tropical update. Hi everyone and welcome in. We're going to start today by taking a look at the infrared loop for 97L just off the west coast of Africa over the Cape Verde Islands, and look at these cloud tops blowing up here. This thing is getting its act together quickly. We're seeing good moisture. We've got a good moisture envelope here, and this thing is forming, getting its act together. If we take a look at the basin-wide view, there it is. A couple of more waves off the picture coming off of Africa eventually out into the Atlantic that we're going to have to continue to watch. There's another wave approaching South America. A couple of areas of spin. This is prominent on the satellite imagery up here in the Northwest Atlantic and the Central Atlantic. These are moving away from land though, so we're not going to pay them much mind. And then we've got a frontal boundary hanging off the southeast coast and into the Gulf with a little bit of convection firing into the Gulf. This may actually enhance some rainfall over the southeast, and if it can organize it all, maybe bring a gusty wind scenario here into the panhandle of Florida, though the Hurricane Center is not really watching this for develop. They're watching it, but they're not seeing any development right now. I'm watching it, and we'll keep watching it as we go through time. A couple of other waves moving across South and Central America. The Hurricane Center is watching these two areas out in the Atlantic, and they've labeled them both with a 10% chance of development. So we're just going to ignore these for now. Here's our code red area with 97L. And by the way, there are two main takeaways from this segment in addition to the two open questions that I had before. One is this system is 8 to 10 days away from potentially impacting the United States, so no need to take any action yet. We're just monitoring, so we're watching. We're going to continue to watch. I'll keep you posted. Make sure you're subscribed here. Turn those notifications on because I'm doing these videos every day. I'm giving you the latest analysis, and I'll keep you in mind when it's time to take action. You're going to know it. But right now we're watching. The other takeaway is conditions are becoming more favorable, and we're going to see intensification as we go through time. This thing has a 90% chance of development over the next 7 days, and it probably is going to develop over the next 48 hours into at least a tropical depression, if not tropical storm Erin. That's what's going on. And by the way, I've got all this information crawling right down here at the bottom of the screen. That's one of the things that I do here for you, is pull a lot of data together, crawl it across. We even got a little this day in weather history that'll come across the top here in just a little bit. And there it is, folks. Look at this. As we get on, the system moves on in toward the islands, toward Bermuda or into the Caribbean off the southeast coast. It's going to encounter water temperatures that are very, very favorable for quick development. These 29, this is Celsius, 29, 30, 31. These are mid to upper 80s, approaching 90. So that is bath water, big time fuel for hurricanes when we get out and we start talking about that kind of temperature profile. Now, as we get on out here, the shear, if we start this map back a couple of days out, got a lot of reds out here. Blue is below normal shear, red is above normal shear, and we want to see lots of red if we want to eliminate tropical development. But look what happens in about 8, 9, 10 days, 11, 12 days. We have lots of blue showing up out here in the vicinity where our system is likely to be at that time. So the upper level winds are getting more favorable. It's encountering much warmer water. So this is going to be our power pocket. Any type of tropical system that makes it into this region is going to power up quickly, folks, and we're likely to see a major hurricane come 10 days out. Where will it be and where will it go? That is the question. Rolling this back, look at this. Here's our system. We get on out here 66 hours out. This puts us in the middle of this week. It is going to develop and start to really fill those waters as we get those warm waters as we get on out here toward 5 days out. This is Friday, and you can see it taking off. And look at this little L up here off the Virginia Capes, way out here in the Atlantic. Watch that too. Keep your eyes on that. Don't lose focus there, because we get on out into day 5, day 6. It's really starting to get over those waters now, better shear. This little system up here is developing, and there's our system down here south of Bermuda, north of the islands. It splits the gap, goes up east of Bermuda, or sorry, west of Bermuda, east of the United States, and moves on off. Doesn't affect anybody, just brings some high surf. Okay, that's what's going on with the European. The GFS, let's roll this back. Very, very similar in fact, in terms of moving north of the islands and up across out into the Atlantic. It actually takes it a little bit farther to the east, right over Bermuda, and curves it back out into the Atlantic. So both the GFS operational and the European operational are misses. Now look what happens as we look at the ensembles, because they tend to be clustered tightly to start with, and then they sort of spray out if there is good, if there's not good agreement in the upper air pattern. So we're going to watch these as we put this into motion. And by the way, if you don't care at all about the tropics, stay tuned anyway, because from smoke to tropical air mass to heat waves, drought, severe weather, and flooding, something's going to affect you where you are, and I will show you what weather is most likely to impact you as we go out and work our way into the new week. But here's the European ensemble, and you can see the big clustering of those lows down there. So this is all the ensemble members, and they're very tightly clustered. This gives us great confidence that there's going to be a tropical system when you see this many members have it, and it's going to be very strong, as you can start to see these deep reds and oranges here. And look what happens though as we get on out to about day 6. Look at this. Start to spread out a little bit. You've got some going up here toward Bermuda, a couple going into the islands, a couple of them, we've still got kind of a cluster here in the center. But look at this, as we get way on out to day 9, look what happens out here. Really starting to see it fan out a little bit, and you've got some members eventually that hit the United States, the East Coast here, and some just miss, and others stay out to sea. Well, the GFS is very, very similar to that. Look at this as we go on out toward we'll just roll this along toward day 5. Tightly clustered, a lot of members showing a system, so high confidence in a system. It's going to be strong too. It's going to rapidly hit those. It's going to hit those waters, warm waters, rapidly develop, and then as it goes on out, we get on out here toward day 9 again. You've got a couple of different prominent clusters. One is way east, one is kind of east over Bermuda, and then a couple take. You've got several here that sort of split the gap between Bermuda and the United States, and another little area that hits Florida and the southeast coast. So we're going to have to watch as we get on out in time, because there's still quite a lot of spread here. It's impossible to nail down the track exactly. My suspicion is this is going to curve east of the United States, but we're going to watch this as we get on out in time. This is the upper air pattern. Now watch what happens as we get on out here to 144 hours. Sorry about that. Let's roll this back a little bit. So this is between day 5 and 6. You've got a big ridge of high pressure. Anything below this ridge is kind of traversing in this direction, because you get these elongated ridge centers like this. You're going to see clockwise flow around those. It's going to act as a blocker, keep these things to the south. But watch what happens courtesy of that little system that has developed off the northeast coast, or the North Carolina coast. It's created a weakness between these ridges. Now you have a little bit of a trough here, which provides an escape route. Look at this. There's one ridge center back here, another one over the United States, and look what happens to that tropical system. It starts to split the gap and head on to the north and eventually to the northeast as a front continues to, you've got another piece of energy across the United States that's going to set up a trough along the west coast that will be a shield against tropical activity. And so over time, the GFS generally agrees with this too. We're going to see a ridge center out here, another ridge center back here, and potentially an area of weakness centered somewhere along or off the United States coast that will serve as an escape route for any tropical system that approaches the area. Is this scenario set in stone? No, it's not. So we're going to have to watch it. There could be a little bit of a delay for that front coming off the United States. That little area of low pressure out in the Atlantic could be a little bit weaker and allow ridging to strengthen in a little bit more. So do not take the model solutions that are all misses right now as gospel. We need to watch those, and we will continue to do so here on this channel. I'll keep you informed about it. Now we've got your weather IQ question for the day, and we're going to take a quick look at what's happening around the rest of the United States as we get on in toward the week. Looking ahead to winter, to my favorite time of the year, today's question has absolutely nothing to do with the tropics. Here it is. What is the term for frost forming on surfaces? Deposition, condensation, sublimation, or frostification? If you know the answer, type it in the comments section. If you don't, just simply hang out to the end of the show. I'll reveal it to you then, and you can go and tell all of your friends, and they will be impressed with your weather knowledge. Now, we're going to take a look at what's coming up over the course of our work week. How do you like this map, folks? Smoke is back on the menu up here in Minnesota and the UP of Michigan, and probably some smoke filtering into Wisconsin too. Just because there are no alerts, that doesn't mean that there isn't smoke there. And so we've got some problems there. We've got some heat advisories up here in Maine. Flood watches. We had a big area of rain, and that brought some flooding concerns here in central Kansas and northern Oklahoma. We've seen a lot of rain come down here. It is still raining in some of those areas, and heat advisories and extreme heat watches and warnings all up and down the interior, basically northwest, the Great Basin in here in the Intermountain West, and down into parts of the desert Southwest. We're going to see hot conditions as we move forward over the next several days. And we'll get a little bit of a break, and then things will heat back up again way out in time. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Here is your air quality map. Lots of reds and oranges showing up back here where we're seeing smoke once again penetrate the northern portion of the United States. We're seeing these weather systems move along. This is what's happening. You get a weather system moving along. Behind that, you get winds out of the north, bringing that smoke in. Then you get another weather system. You get a little bit of a southwesterly flow, brings it out, maybe sends it over into New England for a little bit, and then another system comes along. We're just in this repeating pattern all summer long, and so this has been plaguing you all, and I'm sorry to say, but it's going to continue. New York, Denver, and the areas around here, we're seeing some wildfire smoke. Then out here in Los Angeles, up toward Fresno, bad air quality there too. Over the next couple of days, we don't really have any major severe weather events that we're looking at. We've got some potential for severe weather up here in northern Minnesota, maybe northeastern North Dakota, and then again down here toward Oklahoma, back in the southern plains. We'll see a little bit of in the panhandle of Texas, we're going to see maybe a cluster of storms move through later with some severe gusts, but certainly some flooding rains are possible. Little frontal zone moving through, plenty of shower and thunderstorm activity around that. Central plains up to the Great Lakes and back into the southeast and mid-south as well. That frontal zone has been plaguing this area for about a week now, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And that same situation is going to set up tomorrow too. Got that trough still hanging out here in the southeast. This frontal boundary is not moving very much here in the central plains, so north, basically the Great Lakes again, and the Ohio Valley back down to the southern plains. That's going to be focused for showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. Maybe a couple of severe reports up here in the UP of Michigan, northern Wisconsin, but not really any organized severe weather expected over the next couple of days. Taking a look here as we pull this on forward to this morning, there's this rain moving out of Kansas and up into Iowa this morning, over into Missouri. A few showers around here in southeast. It's actually not doing a good job picking up on all the rain raining here in Morganton this morning. So going out in time this afternoon, plenty of showers and thunderstorms over the southeast. We'll see more showers and thunderstorms over the central plains and southern plains. And watch what happens here. A little piece of energy moving in across the northern tier 2 into the Great Lakes as well. We'll see this thunderstorm complex maybe emerge out of New Mexico and travel into the panhandle of Texas. It doesn't look all that strong from an echo standpoint, but you still have this kind of a bow, so you could see some strong winds with it. Another little cluster here in Iowa from that system that moved out of Kansas. And then up here toward northern Minnesota, look at this little system working through here, going to be responsible for providing lift for showers and thunderstorms. And as we get on into the nighttime hours, everything will kind of diminish a little bit. Maybe see this cluster hold together in Texas and Oklahoma, but it'll lose its intensity up here in Wisconsin as well. We head toward tomorrow morning. Still thunderstorms moving through Michigan into Oklahoma again. Energy and moist air around the southeast providing a focus for showers and thunderstorms that will really continue. That front lights up back from the Great Lakes back into Texas, and then out ahead of that, a tropical air mass. Over the next several days, this area of the country is going to be in the tropical air mass zone, folks. It's going to be humid. It's not going to be all that hot like we saw back in July, but it's still going to be very, very humid with daily chances of showers and thunderstorms. The monsoonal flow will continue through the Four Corners region. There's a little bit of an organization that you might get tomorrow to bring some severe weather up here in Wisconsin and potentially Michigan, the UP of Michigan. But general shower and thunderstorm activity everywhere else along the south, southeast, and eventually as we get on out into the week, you folks up into the northwest will pick up some showers and thunderstorms too. In the meantime, just isolated showers up there as a new trough works in. There's your tropical air mass. And look, we just roll this on through the week. You see where the tropical air mass is up here, eventually into the Mississippi Valley up to the Great Lakes, but the biggest surge of moisture is down here in the southeast from Louisiana up into the lower middle Atlantic. And it's just, you see those reds hanging out. So thunderstorms are going to ring out a lot of precipitation. In terms of our temperature anomalies, warm out as we go out in a time. Let's roll this back a little bit so we can kind of see what's going on. I don't know how I rolled it ahead so far, but early on in the week, below normal, northern plains, central plains, near normal across the south, and above normal in the northwest, along the west coast into the northeast as well. But look what happens. We get on out into Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. We start to see some of those cooler anomalies work through the Great Lakes, but warming back up in the west and warming up in the northeast down to the east coast. And we'll see those anomalies continue to build east as we go on out in time, with another trough working in toward the west, keeping it things a little bit maybe below normal in the Intermountain West, or the Rockies, sorry, and the Pacific Northwest and Great Plains. That's where the systems are moving across the northern Great Plains, southern Canada, but plenty of warm air to be had in the nation's midsection on east. So that's what we're looking at as we go through the next couple of days, 3 days to the end of the week. Now we're going to check out the long range and see how long this heat's going to last. There's your latest drought monitor, folks. You can certainly see where the dry and drought conditions are from the Rockies to the west coast down here in southern Texas as well, and southern Florida are our areas that we're most concerned about being in drought conditions. Unfortunately, not much relief for any of you all except maybe southern Florida. We'll see across the northern tier and into the plains, a few sections of dry areas as well, and across the east, just sporadic abnormally dry conditions where we've seen hit or miss thunderstorms. A lot of people have missed out. The upper air pattern, which is very important to how everything plays out, continues to look very much like the upper air pattern we've seen most of the summer. We've got a ridging up here. We're starting off this weekend, this coming weekend, with ridging up to the north, keeping you warm up there, a big ridge developing along the southeast, and another trough kind of plaguing the Pacific Northwest. That will back off over time, though. Look at this. Ridge begins to center itself over the Four Corners region, providing the opportunity for a trough along the east coast, keeping the east coast unsettled, particularly the southeast, with relatively cooler temperatures, probably still at or above normal, but at least in the vicinity of normal. But that provides an escape route for this tropical cyclone that will be off the coast air and will probably be a major hurricane and moving north because of this weakness. Now, if this gets delayed a little bit, different story with the hurricane. So we're going to watch that, of course. My sense is this will end up being the proper pattern. As you can see, it establishes itself. This has been the seasonal trend. And if that happens, the weakness will be along the east coast and keep this system offshore. I kind of lean in that direction. In terms of temperatures, though, as we go way on at a time, looking at Saturday and Sunday, going to be above normal across the Great Lakes and back into the southeast and the nation's midsection, a little bit below normal in the Rockies, but that will persist way on out into next week, and we'll see things over time as that ridge axis shoots back to the west. You will warm up significantly in the west, cool down in the plains. That cool weather will spread into the central and eastern portion of the country and just sort of persist and wash out as we get on out into time. But this is where I was telling you that we could see the signal for the nearest to average or so forth. So that's what we're looking at, folks, in terms of the long range precipitation. Of course, that would mean the east and the southeast would be favorable or favored for above normal precipitation, and we would certainly expect to see that when we do here with a couple of inches of total precipitation as we go down in time. Of course, much of this will be shower and thunderstorm activity. You can't really predict where those are going to pop up, and of course, they're going to drop much more rain in spots than this, but that's your general picture as we go out in time. We're going to wrap things up here with the space weather and geological update and the answer to today's IQ question. Good news, if you need a job, the Space Weather Center is hiring. Vacancies are open, so apply within, folks. There's our star. Not a lot going on, just got a coronal hole turning away. Nothing going on the coronagraph. We were in geomagnetic storm conditions, but we are no longer there, so that is good news. One sunspot that we're watching here that's got a little bit of complexity to it. You see a little bit of blue with the reds here, but really not all that complex, and certainly it's not generating any solar flaring right now. Some other ones turning in. There's the one we were watching there, but nothing going on too much in space weather. Nothing much going on earthquake front. We had a 6.1 in Turkey a couple of days ago, but nothing going on right now that we need to be concerned about. And nothing going on volcanic-wise in the Pacific Ring of Fire that is affecting us either. Moon is 93.9%. It is a waning gibbous. Had this full sturgeon moon the other day, and we're going down to a new moon on August the 23rd. Meanwhile, the Perseids are peaking over the next couple of days. You might want to get out there and check and see if you can see a fireball. Normally, you'd want to go pre-dawn, but I think that's when the moon's going to be up. It comes up in the evening, and it's been rising a little bit later on, so maybe you can get out in the evening and see a couple of those fireballs before you get all that light pollution. But that brings us into the answer to today's weather IQ question. You remember what that was? What is the term for frost forming on surfaces? Deposition, condensation, sublimation, or frostification? And the answer is deposition. That is the term when frost forms directly on surfaces, okay? So you see that happen all the time during the wintertime. That's what it's called. Now you can impress all your friends with that knowledge, and you can also tell them that today, August the 11th, in 1929, Babe Ruth became the first player in baseball history to hit 500 home runs, and he did so at League Park in Cleveland. Okay, there you go. If you've got a Babe Ruth baseball card, and I hope you do, that's worth a lot of money. Maybe you sell it, maybe you keep it. I don't know. Will it go up or down? We'll have to wait and see. But that's it. Now you know the weather. Now you know about baseball history. And with that, this is Cold Rain reminding you other stations run 24/7, but I got you covered right here, right now, 4814. I'll be back tomorrow with another update. We'll keep you updated on the tropical system. You can follow me on X. If anything happens, I'll post there at Real Cold Rain. Otherwise, have a wonderful day, folks. We'll see you back tomorrow.